Today on the Bang Says podcast, we're going to be discussing my advice for growing on YouTube, boom micing with ribbon microphones, and other stuff too, so go ahead and stick around. Alright, it is Labor Day weekend here in the States, which means we are chilling out, we are maxing, we are relaxing all cool. There is no news that I want to discuss, but we are going to jump right to what I've been testing. I'm gonna say it. You have been listening to it! If you are watching the video, yes, you can see correctly. I am boom micing again. I am overhead micing myself. What in the world? It sounded so bad last time. Why would you do it again? Mainly because it's fun. I like experimenting with microphones and placements and trying different microphones out in different positions to see how they function. The microphone that I am using is the SE Electronics VR2 Voodoo. Why am I saying it with such bated breath? That's not the correct term. Why does it sound so loaded? This is a ribbon microphone. Huh? You don't boom with ribbon microphones, you crazy person? Yeah, you're probably right. But I am. And not only is it just a ribbon microphone, but it is a standard figure 8 ribbon microphone. That means it has a big lobe of sensitivity in the front and then a big lobe of sensitivity in the rear, so it just picks up everything behind it. But the benefit of figure 8 is the sides, 90 degrees on this polar pattern, is completely dead. Just completely dead. So if you have a reflective surface, you can angle the microphone so the sides are pointed at it, and it will really help reduce the amount of reflections that are picked up by the microphone. And that is what I am doing. As I completely just turn away from it, Alan just lost his damn mind. I would say about 10 inches off of this microphone overhead, angled, so it's about 30 degrees, maybe 45 degrees off of the table. And this is the sound we're getting. I quite enjoy it. Undeniably, it does pick up a lot more of the room than you're used to hearing on this show. But as far as the tonality, I think a ribbon microphone really lends itself to this because it has that robust low end. You're able to get that thickness, that body to it as you get farther away from the microphone. And if I were to get right on top of it, you can hear how this microphone does with proximity. There is a lot of it. There is a lot of low end and low mids on this thing because it's a ribbon microphone. That's what you expect. But this is the VR2 Voodoo, a $500 active ribbon microphone. This is an active ribbon mic, so it does take 48 volts phantom power, and you get a slightly hotter output. I am running that through an interface which I cannot disclose. Yep, that's what I'm doing. That is it. Now let's jump to what you had to say, and we are going to start with a question that I got. This comes from Atoms of Stardust, and they say, the most frustrating thing with the whole YouTube is that when you're a small channel, they simply don't even bother to help you spread your content. Like, I'd literally upload the same video to TikTok and YouTube. Here on YouTube, it makes 5 views, and on TikTok, it's like 200 or 500, which is a night and day difference. That's what we need from YouTube, exposure, not removal of the dislike button. And when you get 5 views after spending like 10 hours making a video, you just want to die. Or actually badly hurt those who designed this crappy algorithm and turned YouTube into a crappy platform that spits on smaller channels. Like, how are we supposed to grow at all? Most subreddits don't allow you to post your own content. YouTube doesn't promote it in any way, bar some really rare exceptions like what the hell we must do. Bandrew, any ideas? Atoms of Stardust, thank you very much for the comment, and I have to say, I think that your analysis of YouTube is a bit unfair. Go ahead and build a standalone website and see how much traffic automatically gets dumped onto the website. Chances are it will be 0. If you want a website to grow, you need to develop some kind of following. You need to put in the legwork to develop interest in your site. But on YouTube, us creators have developed this really weird sense of entitlement where we think that as soon as we start uploading to YouTube, YouTube owes us an entire audience. They owe us the views, they owe us the monetization, they owe us access to everything that's available on the platform. That couldn't be further from the truth. Something that I always keep in mind and have to remind myself quite frequently of, because when I see views, when I see distribution decreasing, sure, it's easy to get upset, it's easy to get bummed out, it's easy to start blaming YouTube, but then I have to remind myself, why does YouTube exist? Who is YouTube here to serve? YouTube does not exist to get me views, to get any creator views. That is not why the platform exists. What the platform exists for and what they're trying to accomplish is find videos that viewers will want to watch that will make those viewers watch more content so YouTube can serve more ads and increase revenue. That's the entire purpose of YouTube now. Maybe when it initially started, it was, hey, we just want to give a platform for people to upload content to. Maybe that was the initial plan. But it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore, and we can drag our feet, kick stones, and whine about it all we want. But chances are that's not going to change anything. So one of the best things you can do is always keep in mind why the platform exists. You may find that your views and growth on TikTok are significantly better than on YouTube. That might mean TikTok's algorithm has found your audience, YouTube's has not. So why not go ahead and invest more time and effort into TikTok? If that's where your viewers are, if that's where people are enjoying your content, why not focus on that? Just something to consider. But I will go ahead and answer your question about what the hell must we do and any ideas on growing on YouTube. I will share my thoughts, and I do want to include a disclaimer here. I am not good at growing channels on YouTube. What has worked for me on my one successful channel, chances are will not work for other people. It was of the time, at that time, specific to my experiences. And all of my interpretations, all of my analysis of YouTube is based on my experience. So I believe there are two different types of growth on YouTube. First one being search-based growth, the second being algorithmically based growth. As far as the search-based growth, that would be you make a video on a topic and you are hoping that when somebody searches for that topic, they find your video, they click on it and watch it. For example, Shure SM7B review and audio tests compared to Electro Voice RE20 and U87. That would be a good example of a search-based video because that is a very specific audience that's not going to be pushed out by the algorithm, and your mom and grandma and sister and brother who are into video games and quilting are going to see and say, oh my gosh, I have to watch that. It is a hyper-specific video answering a question that somebody is going to be searching for. The second type of growth, in my opinion, is algorithm-based growth, and that would be you make a video on a topic or about an event, and you are hoping that YouTube's algorithm will pick that up, push it out to mom, grandma, sister, brother, uncle, everybody in the world, and it has a high likelihood of appealing to a wider audience. For example, it could be a vlog where something crazy happens. I broke my leg, and then the thumbnail would be you in a cast saying, ouch! And then the title would be, oh my god, you won't believe what happened next! That's going to appeal, unfortunately, that is going to appeal to a wider audience. Those are the two methods that I see for growing on YouTube, and it's undeniable they are incredibly different in their approaches for filming, presentation style, editing, structuring. Everything is very different, from an SM7B review to a vlog about breaking your leg while skydiving in Spain because you live that billionaire YouTube life. Very different. But there is something that is similar between these two approaches to growing on YouTube, something that I think is required for almost every single video to succeed on YouTube. You already know what the answer is going to be. You're going to hate me when I say it, because everybody says it. Everybody says it? I am an idiot. Step 1, be an idiot like Bandrew. Don't understand how to speak. Everybody says it. This is a new low for me. I can't believe that just came out of my mouth. What you need to do is have good clickable titles and good clickable thumbnails. I know, mind blowing. I never saw that coming. But why is that important? You could have the greatest content in the world, the greatest video ever made in the history of the world. But what do you need to do before anybody views that? Get somebody interested enough to click on the video. That is step 1. That's why the thumbnail and the title are so darn important. Because of that, you need to spend time experimenting with different approaches for making titles and thumbnails to see what works best for you. This is something that I need to get better at as well, because my click-through rate is absolute garbage. On the Podcastage channel, on pretty much any of my channels, my click-through rate seems to be pretty bad, and that could tell me I need to make better titles and better thumbnails. This podcast, for example, when I started uploading it to YouTube, I didn't do any thumbnails, I didn't do anything special with the titles, I didn't do anything different between the audio and the video podcast. Yet when I started to think about it, I realized I'm spending 4-5 hours on the video aspect of this podcast. Why would I not spend an extra 30 minutes making a thumbnail that I think is going to make people want to click? I invested the time to produce the content. I want people to see the content, so I am going to spend a little bit of extra time making sure the thumbnail and title are more clickable, trying to make those appealing to a wider audience. That was a big moment for me when I decided, oh yeah, I should probably invest time in that. I should spend time doing that because it is important. The audio podcast the title starts with the podcast episode number. The video version on YouTube doesn't. The video version just says what the topics are, and then at the end, for those curious, it does say the episode number. And that'll keep people from... I started doing that because some people said, hey, you're doing these clips. I only want to watch the full episode, so make sure to include the full episode numbers at the end of the show title so we know it's the full episode. I haven't done clips in a very long time, so I could probably stop it, but I'm not going to. I also altered how the content is laid out between the audio podcast and the video podcast. The audio podcast has a musical intro, and then I do all of the standard announcements. Hey, you want the video version? Go to here. You want to check out other podcasts? Go to geeksrising.com. This and that and this and that. I understand. Take this with a grain of salt. I read this online. I heard somebody say this, I think. I don't know if it's true. I don't know where their data's coming from. You'll understand why I'm pointing that out. My understanding is people know within the first 15 seconds if they are going to watch your video. And that is why I now start my shows with, today we're discussing this and other stuff too. So people know exactly what they're getting into. And if any of those topics sound interesting, they're going to be more likely to stick around, as opposed to me just rambling, I'm so thirsty, I'm going to drink my coffee and drink some water. Ha ha, what a wonderful data podcast. And then 5 minutes in, I get to some content that might appeal to somebody. That doesn't have any value on YouTube. Actually, that's a wrong statement. I don't want to say that it doesn't have value, because the content could be amazing and it could absolutely have value. What I should say is, it's going to be excruciatingly difficult for whoever is putting that out to try to persuade somebody, persuade a new viewer to stick around for 5 minutes of banter, to stick through 5 minutes of banter to get to why they clicked on the video. That's what I mean. That's why I changed the structure between YouTube and audio. All that I'm saying, you need to not only have good thumbnails and good titles that make people want to click, but when somebody clicks on your video, you need to make sure to deliver. You need to deliver the content that they are looking for. If your video is titled Shure SM7B Review, when they click on the video, they better get a review, as opposed to talking about unboxing and how your day was for 15 minutes. Instead of a video where you don't talk into the microphone the entire time except for 30 seconds at the end. And that is why I think my channel took off initially. There wasn't anybody who was stupid enough to spend so much money on microphones to review them all. And secondly, there wasn't anybody really making reviews of microphones using the microphones they were reviewing. At least not entire channels dedicated to it. Now there are about 50 channels doing that, so what I do is much less unique and special. And I have a lot more competition. That's a good thing, that's a bad thing. It's great for the consumer. Great for people who are researching microphones because now they have more opinions, now they have more samples, more points of reference, all a huge benefit to people researching. For me, purely selfishly, it sucks. My views have gone down, my recommendations have gone down because I have 50 competitors now. But that's my advice for growing on YouTube. Great thumbnails, great titles, and more importantly, great videos, because getting somebody to click is the most difficult aspect of growing on the platform. So you need to make sure that when you get somebody to click, you deliver. You give them what they are looking for, whether you do the search-based growth or the algorithm-based growth. Whether you're saying, oh my God, I broke my leg. Start with maybe not how you broke your leg, but the aftermath. A cold open. If you're doing a review, start with, this is what we're reviewing, listen to it. Here's how it sounds. And then get into the more in-depth stuff. Keep them around, give them what they are looking for, and then continue on. Because there are millions of videos on YouTube that you are competing with. And let me remind you once again of something that I think every YouTuber needs to remember. Why does YouTube exist? It does not exist to give us views. It does not exist to get us subscribers. YouTube exists to give viewers what the viewer wants to watch that will keep the viewer watching more content. That's the entire purpose of its existence. Keep people watching so we can serve them more ads. Atoms of Stardust, thank you again for the comment. I hope that didn't come across too harsh. That's just my approach and my view of YouTube, and I thought this was a good opportunity to share that. Hopefully that does help you, but if you found your audience on TikTok, go all in. Spend more time creating for that platform. No reason not to if you don't have any objections to the platform. Next, we have 2 comments responding to the robotic audio issue. These are from technical people. I am going to read them to you, and I will not understand anything they are saying. So let me read these to you. Number 1 comes from Patrick Sharp. He says, I've been in IT for over 22 years, and I've been a PC gamer for even longer. Saren's, sorry for the spelling, audio issue is indeed more than likely related to him overtaxing his CPU. Audio is typically a lower priority when being processed, and if he selected something high priority or real-time priority under process priority in Windows, this could easily be causing his broken audio. This can also be happening in general if his system is just under an extreme load and his hardware simply can't keep up. Like you mentioned with having too many active plugins, gaming is definitely an extreme load, FYI. Possibly the most extreme load one can have next to rendering 3D animation / video editing, etc. As a suggestion, I would look into checking out what his priorities are set to under Windows Process Priority. Also in Task Manager, Windows does warn that messing with processes can result in system instability. And also try eliminating as many unnecessary processes as possible, task manager/startup, before his gaming sessions just to be sure he's getting the most out of his system. Typically, people run so many unneeded processes simply because they don't know they can turn them off and save system resources. Just some thoughts, and if this is all way too advanced, my recommendation would be to not make any changes in process priority if you haven't already, and either have a professional look into this or replace your CPU with something more powerful if that's within your capabilities. And the second comment comes from Andrei Razvan, and he says, about robotic audio in games, if you use in-game settings of unlimited FPS, the game will take as much CPU as there is, no matter how boss your PC is. Pedal to the metal. To mitigate, set in Task Manager, right-click on Discord and WASAPX/Wasapi, Windows Sound Process System, then click Details, right-click again, Priority, set priority higher than the game that is acting as a power hog. In olden days, you'd set the game one priority lower than the default it opens as, but with the invasive anti-cheat viruses, you are not capable of that anymore. This will instruct your operating system to first make sure you send received sounds clearly, and then show you your hundreds of frames, and more frames. Also, if you have Discord open, not background/taskbar, and one of those flashy animated ads starts dancing, rip your CPU cycle. Rest in peace, your CPU cycles. Highly noticeable on a potato CPU like mine, but in gaming mindset and competitiveness where frame time consistency is everything, it still matters. Hope this helps. Thank you very much to Patrick and Andre for their expertise and sharing their solutions. This went right over my head because I am a Mac user and I do not game. But to me, it sounds a lot like the process priority needs to be adjusted. You need to make sure that your audio programs have priority prior to gaming, which will take up a lot of your CPU. There you go. Thank you so much. Next, we have what you had to say. I almost said voice submission. There's no voice submission from this person. From Sound Speeds, he says, okay, Bandersnatch, a few things to add here. Inside of a closet, one big thing you lack is air frequencies. If you're in a totally dead sound-treated warehouse and a sound-treated closet, what is the difference in what you hear? The biggest thing is lack of air frequencies. You can use plugins to add air frequencies, or you can pipe in low-volume white noise notched to the air frequencies to fool non-critical listeners into thinking you're in a bigger room. You know you want to test that, so have at it. I was going to make a video about this, but who knows if I will ever get around to it. The second thing I want to address is talk about isolation shields. It's true that they don't magically block out sound like people may assume because it's open and facing the pie hole, but they do other things too. You know how if you cup a microphone, it affects the frequency pickup? If you're in an untreated room closer to a wall, it can do similar. Keep in mind, its design only helps with higher frequencies, just like the thin foam that's inside it and foamy windscreens. It also works somewhat by blocking out off-axis reflections from the capsule. Being off-axis to the capsule, you'll already reduce some of those reflections naturally, but add a piece of metal between reflective walls and a mic capsule, and that will help too. You've heard me say that I always like to face acoustic treatment when I record sound. That's because your sound does bounce off of it and back into the mic. Even in acoustically treated spaces, it can happen, but that's a lot less common and usually less noticeable to human ears because it's knocking down the more noticeable frequencies. And there you go. Thank you very much, Alan, for the comment. It is official. I am never going to listen to anything that anybody has said ever. I am never going to repeat anything that anybody else has ever said. I am only going to rely on my testing. I can't trust anything, because if I just test it and say, use your ears, can't really argue with that. But if I say, hey, I heard this one person say this one time, and then everybody's like, you idiot, no, you're wrong. That person was wrong, but you're wrong because you said it too. So I am done. I will try to never repeat what other people have said. And now I will only use my own testing as a basis for my opinion, as a basis for my approach on my conclusions. Only my own testing. What other people say, screw them. I don't care what they have to say. That concludes it. Thank you very much, Alan. Appreciate it. And yes, I will test that eventually sometime. We'll see. That sounds like, I guess that's not that much work, but finding a big, large room where you can't hear the reflections and then finding a completely dead closet sounds like it would be difficult to do. All right, that is it. Now let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Welcome to the Ask Bandrew segment, the segment where you ask me, my name is Bandrew, and I answer you, your name is whatever your name is. If you want to submit a question, go to askbandrew.com, askbandrew.com, askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in audio, video, and text. I do prefer audio and video because first, we get to hear how you sound on your equipment. Secondly, you don't have to listen to me. That's a win-win. First is an email from Big Fat Bunions. They say, should I put $300 into the Earthworks Icon Pro or get the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 3rd Gen package with the interface, headphones, and microphone, and then buy the Icon Pro later for $600? And secondly, I'm trying to get into the Discord, but I need to verify my phone number. I have no phone number. I tried contacting mods, but it doesn't work. Can I mitigate this somehow, or am I just out of luck? Thanks for having me. Radio emojis. Big Fat Bunions, thank you very much for the email and the questions. The first question you have, should you get the Earthworks Icon USB for $300 or the Scarlett 3rd Gen package and then buy the Icon Pro later? I hate to say this, I know you're not going to like this answer, but I cannot give you an answer. I cannot tell you which of these options is correct for you with the information you provided. So I need to push back on you and ask you questions which I believe will help you come to the right solution, come to the right conclusion about which of these options is correct for you. And this is applicable to most people in this type of situation. Question 1. Does the Icon USB do everything you need it to do? Does the Icon USB solve all of the problems that you're looking for this new setup to solve? Does it do everything you need it to do? And question number 2 is, or are you looking at the Icon USB right now because you like the Icon Pro and just cannot afford the Icon Pro right now? Which of those are you? Do you like the Icon USB? Are you looking at the Icon USB because it does everything you need your setup to do? Or are you looking at it because it looks like the microphone you really want? Which one of those are you? And you need to be honest with yourself because this is an issue that occurs in every hobby that I've been a part of, which has really been 3 or 4: music, watches, and audio gear, microphones. And this happens in everything. Oh, I really like that Gibson Les Paul Studio. I don't have that kind of money, so I will just buy a cheap knockoff. Oh, I really like that Gibson SG. I'm going to buy the $200 Day Armand knockoff, which I did. Oh, I really like that Rolex Submariner. I'm going to buy the $200 knockoff one. Oh, I really like that U67. I'm just going to buy that Warm Audio one instead. And in the immediate, that may satiate your desire for now. But after a while, that satiation, we become no longer sated. We start to wonder, well, what if I got the real one? What kind of shortcomings am I getting with this cheap knockoff, this affordable version? Does the timekeeping suck? Does the action suck? Are the pickups garbage in comparison? Does the microphone make me sound harsh and unlistenable compared to the real deal? And what do we do when we start to think that? In the long run, we end up just going and buying that thing that we really wanted. We were just trying to trick ourselves into thinking that we were getting that desirable item for cheaper, which we aren't. We are not getting that item for significantly cheaper. So I just want to drive home that point. If you are just looking at the Icon USB because it looks like the Icon Pro, and you are hoping that that will satiate your needs, if it does meet all of your criteria, sure, go for that. But if you really need the USB audio interface, all of that, and you need all of that functionality, go that route. Go the route that will take you a bit longer to get there, but you will get with the stuff that you actually want, that it sounds like you're actually desiring. Be honest with yourself. Why do you want the Icon USB? Why do you want the Icon Pro? Hopefully that helped answer your question. I pushed it right back on you. I've been saying this a lot recently. You need to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. The second question you ask, can you bypass phone verification to join the Discord? No, you cannot. There is no way to bypass this. To be clear, the Podcastage Discord server does not require you to enter your phone number. We are not demanding it, but there is a lot of spam on Discord, and one of the requirements the server has is that your Discord account needs to have been verified through phone. I don't like it any more than anybody else, but it stops the spam bots from taking over. And we have it. We have to have that. We did try to bypass this once. We were talking to somebody that said, hey, I'd love to join. So we disabled it for 1 minute so the person could join. We re-enabled the phone verification requirement. And when we re-enabled it, they couldn't type. They couldn't interact. They couldn't use the server at all. So the answer is no. There's no way to bypass it because given the amount of traffic the server does get, and I know in the grand scheme of Discord servers, not a lot, but for us, it's a lot. We can't deal with that amount of spam. It's protection for the server and to ensure the people who are in the server do not get DM'd and spammed by nefarious parties who join the server. Just a little bit of added security. Next, we have a voice submission from the Potter discussion. Take it away, good sir.
Hey, Bandrew. It's been a minute. Long minute. I am the famous roast kid. It has been many months since I have submitted another submission. It has been a long time. I now sound different, yes. But I'm coming to you with a question. I heard your plea for more submissions because the Ask Bandrew segment had to go on. I could not live with myself if the Ask Bandrew segment did not continue. I'm sorry. I'm getting emotional. Okay. So I have a question. I have a question for you. And the question is pretty general. It's just, how's my sound doing? How does it sound? I'm using the Bayer Dynamic M201TG, held up by a wonderful mic stand. I have a 3-foot HOSA cable, I believe, going into my Audient Evo 4, which is then going straight into my Macintoshian Computerian in Logic. And I do have a signal chain going right now. Just how's it going here? Just overall thoughts, because I am a fidgeter, so I will change every single thing every single time. So I have a set it and forget it method. I want to know. It's been a while since I have listened to my audio again, so is this satisfactory? Would you listen to this? Is it pleasant to listen to? Just give me a general score, 1 out of 10, whatever. Thank you for your time again, and I wish you luck with your house. listening to you talk about Excel spreadsheets has been the highlight of my Sunday. So I'll just end it now.
Thank you very much for the voice submission, and your question is, how is my sound? I listened to this yesterday, and I made notes. If I remember correctly, you are on the Beyerdynamic M201TG. What a fantastic microphone. Really great stuff there. However, I don't like saying that. However, it sounds like you have some weird kind of stereo effect turned on, and it is completely throwing me off. It's really hard to develop any kind of firm grasp on what's happening because that kind of effect really screws with the audio. The thing that made it worse, it wasn't just a stereo effect, but it sounded lopsided, like you had made it stereo and then panned it a little bit to the left. Really bizarre. I don't know why that's happening. And on top of that, it sounded like there was a little bit of phase going on. Not in the sense of comb filtering or anything, but almost like a 1 or 2% intensity on a guitar phaser pedal. It's something funky was going on with your audio. I don't know what it was. I don't know what was causing it. But it's hard for me to have any kind of real opinions because that just threw me off so much. Whatever that effect was. And if you're doing a podcast, I don't understand why you would be using a stereo effect like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So send another sample in a couple of weeks and take off that stereo effect because that's really jarring to me. But you are on the right track. Your voice is turning out really well. You've got a great presentation style still. Keep rocking and a-rolling. You are on the way. And the final submission is another email. I'm not going to read all of this, but this comes from Martin in Germany. And where does the question start? I am using video conferencing platforms all day for professional and private purposes. I have the feeling that many of these platforms transform the audio signal quite significantly and for good reasons, e.g., the noise suppression in MS Teams is just impressive. You will barely hear a click of your keyboard or your mouse and no breathing, etc. Influencing the signal is of course helpful, especially if your audio setup is maybe not ideal, but I have the feeling, after recording myself in MS Teams and Google Meet, that these measures take away a lot of audio quality if you have a more or less decent audio setup in use. Of course, also due to sometimes limited bandwidth of the apps/platforms. Imagine a situation where all participants of a video chat have a decent audio setup and know how to use it. Could you recommend a video chat platform or app that allows the best quality signal to come through? Greetings from Germany. All the best, Martin. Martin, thank you very much for the email. To reiterate the question, what app do I know of that allows you to do video chats that has the best audio quality? As far as what I have used, and as far as a video chat service, everybody already knows the answer. It's the only app that I use, Discord. Discord allows you to get really high quality audio. It has a pretty darn good audio codec, and you can get up to, I think it's 320 kilobits per second. You can get really high quality audio in a voice or video chat. And as far as imagine a situation where all participants have decent audio setups and know how to use it, I don't need to. That's every weekend's Podcastage voice chat. I don't know if it still is, but I pride myself on the fact that the Podcastage Discord may be the best sounding Discord server in existence. At least it was back in 2017, 2018. There are a lot more Discord servers now. By the way, we just had our 5-year anniversary on the 1st of September. 5 years of that Discord server. But Discord would be my answer because it does allow video chat and you can get very high quality audio. It does have some processing built in, echo cancellation, noise suppression. You're able to disengage all of that though, so you don't end up degrading your audio with it. But the processing they do has gotten significantly better. I hope that helps. Martin, thank you very much for the question. And that concludes this pre-Labor Day episode of the podcast. A little bit, I was trying to make it a little bit more chill, but I've been recording so long, it's turned into a regular episode. All right, that is it for this week. I don't have any movies of the week because I'll tell you, it took me this entire week to watch Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. Took me the entire week to watch it. 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, hour there. Oh, there's still 2 hours left. What the heck? 3.5 hour movie. Very good, but 3.5 hours. I'll have a movie of the week next week. If you're in the States, I hope you have an amazing Labor Day. If you're elsewhere in the world, I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and next Sunday, I will talk at you. You are amazing. What did you think of this? Booming with a ribbon microphone. In my headphones, I do have it down a little bit, but it sounded pretty good. Seemed to do quite a good job with background noise rejection, or at least reflections. But it could be that I'm just monitoring too quietly. I'm gonna listen back to this and process it, and it's just gonna sound like I'm in a reverb chamber. I hope not. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you next week. You are the best. Bye-bye. Whoop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.